Today I've got a pretty brief video for you guys today, and trying to get back into a little bit more of a consistent pace for putting out some videos, especially for you guys who are interested in Toyota Sequoia related content. And if you know anything about Sequoias, or if you've watched one of our previous videos, you'll know that one of the common complaints that people have with these vehicles is the fact that they are a little bit more prone to developing rust compared to some other vehicles. So if you are living in a place like Utah where we have pretty harsh winters, we definitely have salted roads, you are probably going to be looking for some way of preventing that rust over time. So today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of what I have decided to do as far as trying to prevent rust on our own Sequoia. So a few things to keep in mind. There is no way of completely preventing rust on a vehicle. The point of this is to just slow the process down as much as possible, while also trying to keep the cost of this procedure down and also the amount of time that I'm going to spend doing it. I don't really want to spend hours and hours and hours, and I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars. I've based a lot of my decision on how to do this procedure based on Project Farm's video that he did where he compared some rust prevention products. In that video, he specifically pointed out that traditional fluid film that you'll see a lot of people using seems to be a pretty effective solution overall at preventing rust, and it's also pretty cost effective. He did have some products that were a little bit better than this, but you can just walk into, Walmart, Home Depot, auto parts stores probably, and just pick this stuff up right off the counter, and it's going to do the trick, and it's not going to cost a lot of money, so that's why I chose it. He also pointed out in that video that he, I guess, didn't really recommend using like a rubber coating over top of your steel components on your vehicle. He noticed that that kind of has contributed to some frame rot that he's noticed in the past. So with that, I've decided to steer away from that. My plan in this is to simply try to just go to the car wash and just keep the underside of the vehicle nice and clean. And then maybe twice in a winter, try to coat it with this fluid film. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, step number one in the process is going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to go to the car wash and try to clean off the whole vehicle, and especially the underside, as thoroughly as possible to try to get as much dirt and grime off of the bottom before we apply our fluid film. Okay, we just finished rinsing off the bottom of the car and giving it a little bit of time to dry. Now we're going to go ahead and apply the fluid film. So when you do this, it might not be a bad idea to have some eye protection and maybe, a mask for, just any time you're spraying an aerosol for an extended period of time. It might not hurt to do that just for your own good. And yeah, this is going to be pretty straightforward. We're just going to take that can and spray it on pretty much all the metal surfaces underneath the vehicle. And that's about it. Alrighty, we just finished up, and I do have a few final thoughts on this whole procedure. First of all, I spent maybe 20 to 25 minutes spraying down as thoroughly as I could on the underside of the vehicle, and I actually really only used one can of that fluid film, and I started with two and didn't even open the second can of it. So it seems to cover quite a bit of the underside of your car, if you're careful with where you spray it. I noticed that overall, on the underside of our Sequoia, the area that seems to have the most rust is actually the rear axle. I don't know exactly why this is, but I'm happy that that seems to be the worst of it. There is definitely a little bit on the frame, but we don't have any spots where it's like starting to rot out completely. And with that, I would mention that if you're going to focus your efforts on rust prevention in one specific spot, make sure it's the frame, because suspension components, the axle, all of those things are pretty easy to replace. So I would focus on the frame, and then also keep an eye on the body, of course, because once you have, rust holes in the body, that's when you're going to start to have some real problems. I'm not exactly sure what you could do with the fluid film to prevent rust on the body. At least what I'm doing here, it's really just to prevent the exposed metal portions on the underside of the vehicle. Once again, I'll mention that, if you choose to do this same thing on your car, take it with a grain of salt, no pun intended. that it might not be the best way of handling it. This is just the way I've chosen to do it. You know, like I said, this is not going to completely stop any and all rust on the underside of your vehicle, but this is the way that I have deemed to be the way that I'm going to try doing it in the future. So basically going forward, the plan I have is that I'm going to go to the car wash at the beginning of the winter and completely power wash the underside of the vehicle, you know, with the very strong nozzle setting to try to, you know, get as much dirt and grime off the bottom of the car as I can. Then coat it with this fluid film. And then throughout the winter when I wash the car, on the underside of it, on those exposed metal pieces, I'm not going to use the high pressure setting when washing. I'll just use a lower pressure setting because this fluid film seems to work really well if you keep the pressure fairly moderate. In the video I mentioned earlier by Project Farm, he noticed that, you know, if you power washed over top of this fluid film, that really strips it off really quickly, and then you're back to developing rust just as quickly as you would have earlier. So when you're washing throughout the winter, I would use a lower pressure setting, and then maybe once every winter or so, you know, maybe about halfway through the winter, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and recoat the whole bottom of the vehicle with the fluid film, or maybe in those spots that maybe are a little bit more prone than others, and especially get that frame, because once again, the frame is not what you want to rust at all. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful, and if you're new to the channel, thank you for watching, and I hope that you will subscribe if you're interested in Toyota Sequoia related content. We've got lots more here. We have an upcoming video on suspension and lift kits for the Sequoia, and we also have a bunch of trip videos and outdoor adventure related videos, so make sure you subscribe for those things. We have a huge list of the products that we enjoy using in the description of this video. Those are Amazon affiliate links, but we appreciate you using those, and thanks for watching.